G'day legends, I hope you're all fantastic. On today's video, we are continuing our explorations with the Eventide H90. We're going to look at the SP2016 reverb algorithm in here, which gives you 6 different reverb modes, and it is based on Eventide's original reverb processor by the same name. They are definitely considered classic reverbs in the pro audio world, and having access to them in the H90 is pretty epic because they sound great on guitar. What I'm going to do is go through all 6 modes side by side with some clips in isolation. Then we will dig into the parameters. So if you don't want to hear any talking and you just want to hear the character of the reverb at the same settings through all of these, watch the next clip. If you want to know more, keep watching. Let's go. Let's take a look at some of the other parameters that we are able to tweak in this particular algorithm aside from the reverb type. I'm mostly going to roll on the vintage plate setting. It's my favorite kind of all-rounder reverb on electric guitar. You can see I've got the mix control at 40%. I've got about 2 seconds of decay on there. Then we've got what I would probably consider the most important parameters when it comes to the overall kind of character and texture of the reverb, aside from the type selection, of course. The position and the diffusion controls in there. We can set the pre-delay, and then we've basically got a low and a high EQ control in here. You can set a low filter in here and set whether it has positive or negative gain, and you can do the same thing with a high frequency filter in there. So let's do this. Let's just hear it where I've got it set up, and then I'm going to play with the position control and then the diffusion control. Now with low diffusion values in there, you can hear some of those initial reflections a lot clearer. As you crank it up, you get much more of that smooth style reverb in there, and the listening position parameter in there, it's pretty unique to Eventide. It just kind of places you in the room at lower values. It's kind of like being near a stage, and at higher values, like being at the back of a room. Now, if you want to do those really big ambient reverbs in this particular algorithm, I would recommend maybe pulling out a bunch of the low gain. I've got the low frequency at 300 Hertz, 20 seconds of decay. I'm using the modern room. Maybe let's go through and hear a few tones with that, and then the modern plate and the other modern mode on there. You've got up to a second of pre-delay on here as well, which means you can use this essentially as an echo, albeit one that kind of really nicely smears into a reverb. Let's check this one out with some distortion. You can even set it up for slapback style effects. This kind of reminds me of some of those early reflection parameters that you would find in old 80s rack units, just for kind of thickening up a guitar tone. And I also like more subtle settings on here. I've got about half a second of reverb with the vintage room. Diffusion and position are quite low on here, and the pre-delay is very low. I'll pull up stumps there. I think this algorithm is pretty self-explanatory. If you want this particular flavor of vintage reverb that Eventide do really, really well, you're going to love this algorithm. I'm going to play you all out running the SP2016 in parallel with like a circular style delay from the Headspace algorithm. Let me know if you've got any other questions about this particular algo or anything else in the H90. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, you can support me using the links in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.